Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the stream, boys. We are back today with another Karoline Leavitt. Come on, finally. Finally Karoline is back. The White House is in full swing. I am back in full swing after Christmas time and all the cheer. Let's see if I can get set up in the studio, bro. We got a new Kaoshi sign behind us. We got the Kaoshi LED sign hookup. That fucking shit is lit. And we've got Karoline. I've got on this Karoline, yeah, let's see. Oh gosh. What's up? Oh no, my computer. Come on. I have just Illegal Alien right now for Karoline. That's it. That's all I've got. There you go. I'm live. I have just... Where's Illegal Alien? There it is. Why is it so low? Oh, I guess it got lower. I have just Illegal Alien. Yes, and that's all I've got. White House on the... No, we'll do AP. I think AP better. I do need to think of another strike, though. I think fraud is good. That one's quite obvious, isn't it? Let's see. It's not gonna talk about Nick Shirley, is she? She really isn't. Radical left. Thoughts on baby proposal? I don't like baby. I would think it's more likely for someone else to say, like, congrats on the pregnancy, and she says thank you. She gonna announce she's pregnant? Like, hey everyone, I know it came out 2-3 weeks ago and we bombed Venezuela after, but hey, I'm pregnant. I don't know. What is baby at? That wouldn't even count, would it? Hey, I'm pregnant, that wouldn't even count. Leering? Leering is pretty funny. The Leering Center. Dude, I should have got it when she announced she was pregnant. I should have gotten those. It's been down ever since. I would think no baby, though. I mean, unless she's gonna say baby in another context, which is possible. She could say baby. But I don't like baby pregnant. 70 cents though? I don't know, I might just get stock market yes. Just get some stock market yes or something to feel something. Here you go. We're gonna get stock market yes. I think she's gonna talk about the stock market. Stock market hitting all-time highs is like White House rhetoric. Trump's been tweeting about it non-stop. We talked about it yesterday. There you go. We got rid of the chatter. New York's so low. Doesn't she say New York Times like all the time? New York Times. I mean, she could just. We're talking about the mayor as well, but any mayor. I like that. This is so low. I like this. I like New York mayor here at 70 cents. There's New York Times. Oh, hello. What's up? Don't know what the hell that was. There's New York Times. There's, of course, just she can bring up New York in the context of any way that she can bring up New York and the mayors. All the different mayors. Chicago mayor. Minneapolis mayor. All the low IQ ones that they go after. There's so many different ways to say that. Surely, I think. I think New York mayor there is good. We bought the stock market, okay. I have a little at 36 cents. I don't have it at a great price, but we've got the stock market, yes. We've got a legal alien, yes. I would like New York. I would like this, yes. New York mayor. That seems very free. I think it's a little bit lower because Kennedy is doing a joint. This is a joint conference with Kennedy and another player, but I would like New York mayor, yes. That just seems. Oh, here we are. You're not Karoline. Fake Karoline spotted. You are not the blonde I'm looking for. I like stock market here. Although I guess they could just say 401ks. Your guys' 401ks is up. But is this the first Karoline since the new year? This is so exciting. Come on, my queen. I would probably like no, baby. I mean, the bids do. I'll tell you that. The bids do. We'll go no, baby, no pregnant. That's what I'm going. No babies. We got no babies going on. We're not getting pregnant here. All right, plan B. Plan B for the win. That's so expensive, though, but it is what it is. I just bought it at its highest. It's been climbing on no, though. People are like, she's not going to announce her own baby. She's not going to announce her own pregnancy. Even if she says pregnancy, does that count? The plural, irregular noun of pregnant? Like, pregnant, pregnancy, plural noun. The plural of pregnancy is pregnancies. Oh, that's the plural. What's the plural of pregnant? Pregnant is listed as a plural for pregnant. Yeah, I don't get that.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Karoline, my queen.
Thank you so much. Lovely officials with me today. It's great to see you. It's great to be with a very packed room. Dr. Carson, come on up. Thank you so much. Good morning and Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
It's
New
great
Year.
to see you. It's great to be with a very packed room. I'm sorry we kept you all very busy over the
Well, I think it's
holiday break. And I know there is a lot of news out there today, both here at home and around the world. I will be happy to take all of your questions on all of that news. But first, I'm really honored to be standing up here today with esteemed members of the President's Cabinet and
Okay, I
his
thought she
health
was talking about our
team
baby
to
there
make an
for a
important
second.
announcement with respect
Chill
to the
out,
President's
chill out,
financial
Carol.
plans to make America healthy again as we kick off the new year. In less than a year in office, the President and his incredible MAHA team have made real progress on this front. Here are just a few of the significant MAHA achievements thus far.
MAHA achievements.
More than a dozen food manufacturers and trade associations have made commitments to remove artificial and petroleum-based food dyes from their products.
All right, what we're writing
The Trump
with?
administration took
Stock
strong
market
action
and
to bar
no
hospitals
baby.
from performing dangerous,
I got no
irreversible,
baby, no pregnant.
life-altering transgender procedures
Ooh,
on children.
transgender.
The Trump administration announced funding awards to states through the Rural Health Transformation Program, an unprecedented $50 billion investment established under President
We're going
Trump's
MAHA
One Big
straight
Beautiful
away into the
the
MAHA
Trump administration has
transgender
also
for
worked
everyone.
with 18 states
Rhetoric.
across the country to ban junk food purchases using SNAP benefits starting this year. And thank you for leading.
Why is it
that.
unsynced? It's kind of pissing me off. Come on.
One big, beautiful bill. The Trump administration has also worked
don't know why
with
it is
18
unsynced.
states across the country to ban junk food purchases using SNAP benefits starting this year. And thank you for leading that effort, Secretary Rollins. Additionally, President Trump took historic action to secure most favored nation drug pricing.
Most favored
and
nation.
secured deals with
That should have been
major
a strike. That would have been a
pharmaceutical
99, huh?
companies to
We knew
massively
that
lower
was
the
going
cost
on.
of prescription drugs. And those effects are being implemented as we speak. Americans are going to continue to see the result of these incredible deals the president cut. And I know President Trump and this team behind me worked
I'll live
incredibly
buy
hard
this oil.
to lower those drug costs.
Not to
for
sound like
Americans.
Trump hadn't done his
On Monday,
oil,
the
but
CDC adopted common sense updates to America's childhood vaccination schedule.
now it's too low.
Based solely
Surely.
on the gold standard
That's
of
too
science.
low. At that
This
point, if
action
someone wants to film me.
empowers parents and physicians
While
to make
these
the
guys
best
are gonna talk.
individualized decisions to protect our children, while also restoring much-needed confidence in our public health system. And as a MAHA mom myself, I'm very grateful for that. So thank you, Secretary Kennedy. To build on this progress, the Trump administration is now updating federal nutrition standards and guidelines to ensure that Americans have the most accurate, data-driven information supported by science and hard facts, not special interests or partisan ideology. President Trump has tasked two of the great individuals behind me,
someone filled
USDA
it.
Secretary Rollins and HHS Secretary
go.
Kennedy, with collaborating on this vitally important project. And today they are here to officially unveil the 2025
I
to
think
2030
buying that,
dietary
live buying the
guidelines for
gas,
America.
oil
These
gas,
new
while
guidelines are
she's
informed by the
letting
best and
Kennedy
most
talk.
reliable research
not too
on
bad
health
of
and
a play.
nutrition, particularly as it relates to the role of our diets in the prevalence of chronic disease in the country. They are also these guidelines are easy to read and understand, so every American, young and old, can access this information that literally has the power to change lives. But these are not just an updated guideline. These are the foundation to all federal food programs in our country. These new guidelines are going to update the food that is served to America's
She hasn't hit
children
anything yet.
in our public schools.
Come on, Carol.
To the plates that are served to our great men in uniform in
Come on,
our
Carol.
military, our veterans, and the food that they are consuming at the VA. And these new guidelines are also going to impact
Not even a
nutritional
Biden yet?
programs for the needy in our country, such as WIC and Head Start. Unfortunately, for decades, federal dollars has promoted low-quality, highly processed foods that lead to scores of long-term health issues, which means Americans have gone broke because of these health issues. Faulty dietary guidelines of the past stacked the deck against healthy eating.
Hopefully,
and food
all of
options for
this
everyday American
health talk
families,
doesn't
which
relate
has
to the
fueled
health
the
of her new
chronic
baby.
disease epidemic and jacked up the healthcare costs of households across the country.
I hope not.
This failed approach in our public health system ends today. When these guidelines are followed, Americans will be saving themselves thousands of dollars. If we want to cut healthcare costs in our country, we
Healthcare.
must become a healthier country. According to the CEA,
There's healthcare.
poor diet is the root cause of obesity, which accounts for $400 billion in medical spending.
First one
each
she
year.
actually hit. There we
A
go.
healthier America will lead to a more affordable America. The new
Affordable.
dietary guidelines from
Wow.
the Trump administration will ensure federal dollars go to real food to improve public health and therefore
She hit
save
the
the American people
affordability.
their hard-earned cash over the course of their lives.
Wow.
So with that, I am going to hand it over to Secretary
Okay,
Kennedy.
passing it
The
to
great people
Kennedy.
behind me will give remarks.
Let's
and
see
then
if there's
we'll get into
panic.
Q&A. For the officials that are here on this specific topic, they will leave because they're all very busy people, and then I will open it up to Q&A with the rest of you on the rest of the news in the world. So thank you.
The rest of the news in the world, yeah.
Thank you.
Bunch of Venezuela questions incoming. Maybe an Epstein one.
Today
Cherry on
marks a
top.
decisive change in federal nutrition policy.
Thank
Possible
God we do
President
not have
Trump's
RFK
leadership
mention
and
markets,
work of
bro. Oh
moms
my God.
and
Imagine having a mention market on a chalkboard. Good. Dude, oh my gosh. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't. Please, Couchy, if you're ever going to do a mention marking on RFK, I'm not going to be able to play it. I'm just going to play all no's and mute the stream and then hope I win. Hey, respect, but I literally cannot listen to your voice, brother. It gives me a headache. Well, stock market might be cooked. No baby, though, looking good. Looking okay on no babies. That's okay. So she hit healthcare and she hit affordable in this little Maha
processed
segment.
foods and refined carbohydrates, and turned a blind eye to the disastrous consequences. Today, the lies stop. The new guidelines recognize that whole, nutrient-dense food is the most effective path
We're
to
gonna
better
buy
health
this fried
and lower healthcare
live
costs.
if we can get that.
Protein and healthy
I would like
fats
that.
are essential, and were wrongly discouraged in prior dietary guidelines. We are ending the war on saturated fats. Diets rich in vegetables and fruits reduce disease risk more effectively than many drugs. Whole grains outperform refined carbohydrates. Added sugars, especially sugar-sweetened beverages, drive metabolic disease, and today our government declares war on added sugar. Highly processed foods loaded with additives, added sugar, and excess salt damage health and should be avoided. As Secretary of Health and Human Services,
I still
my
would like this
message
New
is
York
clear:
mayor.
eat real food. Nothing matters more for healthcare outcomes, economic productivity, military readiness, and
I would still
fiscal
like
stability.
this. Anyone want to film me here?
Dietary guidelines shape dozens of federal feeding
I would still like this
programs,
New York
including Head
mayor,
Start.
surely. Like, this
These
was always
standards
going to be a
affect
Q&A strike
45
anyways.
million school lunches every day.
Is that like
Meals for
60?
1.3 million
70?
active duty service members, and food served to 9 million veterans in VA hospitals. Today begins the work of aligning those programs
Can I
with
just take for that?
affordable,
That's so
whole,
I don't want to.
nutrient-dense food. Implementation requires coordination across the government. I'm working, and I thank also the American Academy of Pediatrics for partnering on this effort. I also look forward to
Let's refresh.
Marty McCary to fund and prioritize rigorous nutrition research at the NIH and at the FDA. The stakes are measurable and severe. Johns Hopkins analysis estimates that 48% of every federal taxpayer dollar now goes to healthcare.
I would still
the
like
CDC reports
this.
that 90% of healthcare spending treats chronic disease.
Yeah, fuck it.
That means that 40%, 40 cents of every dollar taxpayer pay in this
take
country is
Fuck it.
going to treat
Alright, we're on New York
diseases
mayor
that
as well.
could be averted through good
I would
food.
like that.
The United States has the
For this
highest
Q&A
obesity
section.
and type 2 diabetes rate in the developed world. We spend 3 times more per capita than the European Union
yes,
on
you
health
did
care.
cook.
Yet our
See that
life
market. How
expectancy
long?
is 5 years lower, largely due to
How long
diet-related
will
chronic
Karoline
disease.
speak?
Our childhood obesity rate is 5 times higher than countries like France.
Good thing she
1/3
spoke at the
of
beginning,
US
right?
teens
If she
have
come out and it was just RFK, I don't know if the timer would have started, but
Or obese, and 20% of young adults have
30 or above?
non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. 77% of military-aged Americans
this is definitely going
are
over.
ineligible
As
for
long as he
military
doesn't
service
get a crazy Epstein
because
question.
of diet-related conditions. As
long as she doesn't get
adversary
A
sought to
crazy
destroy the
Epstein
health of our
question, and
children,
then she hits
to
stupid
cripple our
question. Yeah. I would imagine it's just, like announcers where she talks and then the clock starts. You like New York Mayor too? All right. So I've got one sharp with me. Nick's on New York Mayor. All right. So there's at least one sharp with me. I did take her, which is frowned upon, right? That is frowned upon in the community. You do eat up fees, but sometimes you might have to take her. Look, guys, I take her at 65 cents, and then the market shoots back up to 70 cents. So it's not a bad taker, honestly. I've got it on average at 68 cents, probably, with fees. You would say with fees, I've got an average, like 67 cents. So I beat the market there, though, at that point, if they're saying I'm getting better fills than 72 cents. So sometimes if it's mispriced enough, sometimes you gotta just take her it. I feel like that might have been because someone's offloading, because this Dr. Oz RFK segment, but good shit, Nick. 200 shares January 4th at 70 cents. That's pretty good.
A lot of you will say.
Well, I think there's so many. Oh, what is he saying?
We just righted it. For the first time,
It's
the dietary
upside down.
guidelines directly address ultra-processed foods, and
He has been talking for a little bit too long. Come on, RFK. Come on, RFK. I'm not getting vaccinated, all right, bro? You're chilling. Okay? I ate McDonald's last night, RFK. If you want me to be honest, I've had multiple red food dye go through my nervous system this morning. All right. Who else is speaking?
very collaborator on this.
Thank you.
So RFK, there you go. There's
Good
RFK's 8
morning,
minutes.
everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New
What
Year.
a honor to be here. I
No
think this
Christmas.
is Karoline's first press conference back, and what a great way to start the new year, 2026.
Okay.
I want to thank Secretary Kennedy.
Don't talk about her
your
fucking
commitment
baby bump, all right?
To the well-being
Don't talk
of
about her baby
Americans
bump,
is
whatever
such a
you do.
blessing to this nation. We have been working on these new dietary guidelines really since almost day one. Bobby and I were voted on the same day and sworn in on the same day. So I think the partnership from minute one has been real and extraordinary. As Secretary Kennedy mentioned, America is in the middle of the worst chronic health crisis in our nation's history.
Fraud's
Over
pretty
40% of the roughly 73 million children in the United
Gas is
States
gonna be
have
said.
at least one chronic health condition, and nearly 90% of healthcare spending goes toward treating people with chronic disease. Secretary Kennedy mentioned that, but it is really important to keep underscoring that fact. This crisis is unacceptable. It prevents Americans from living healthy and happy lives. And for decades, under both Republicans and Democrats, federal incentives
All right,
have
we're gonna need
promoted
Kara to hit
low
stock
quality,
market,
highly
dodge
processed
a little
foods
baby,
and
and
pharmaceutical
hit New York.
interventions instead
Be a decent
of
market.
prevention.
Not much
As a
signs,
result,
though.
nutrient-dense whole foods
might
grown
be on
by
me. Whole Foods!
America's farmers and ranchers
Are we
have
gonna get
been
the whole food debate? We don't have food for her, so.
aware of this danger, and today this announcement is making a major step in doing
Whole
something about it.
Foods?
Thankfully, the
Ice,
solution is
cold
simple
water?
and should be non-controversial.
Am I making the connection
Eat
here?
real
Should we buy
food.
ice? Yes.
This is the main message of the new Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2025 to 2030, which encourage households and schools to prioritize whole, nutrient-dense foods. That means more protein, more dairy, more healthy fats, more whole grains, more fruits and vegetables, whether they are fresh, frozen, canned, or dried. We are finally putting
Right.
real food back at the center of the American diet. Real food that nourishes the body, restores health, fuels energy, and builds strength. This pivot also leans into the abundant, affordable, and healthy food supply
There she had
already
affordable as
available
well.
from America's incredible farmers and ranchers. By making milk, raising cattle, and growing wholesome fruits, vegetables, and grains, they hold the key to solving our national health crisis. And President Trump is mobilizing government to ensure families across America have greater access to these healthy foods. In the past 12 months, inflation has slowed and wages have risen for the first time in 5 years. Under President Trump's leadership, prices for everyday staples are declining, and more help is on the way. Recent data show that fruits, vegetables, dairy, and proteins, including eggs, pork, and ground beef, are becoming even more affordable every day for our American people. American households enjoy the most affordable and abundant food in the world, and today's release only reinforces that reality. A healthy meal is within reach for all American families. These new dietary guidelines are a framework which is meant to be customized to meet the needs, the preferences, and the financial status of all American families. For example, a meal including such items as pork or eggs or whole milk or cheese, tomatoes, other fresh and frozen fruits and vegetables, whole grain bread, corn tortilla can cost today right around $3 for that meal. $3. And soon USDA will finalize our stocking standards, which means that those businesses in America that take the SNAP benefit, what they are required to stock in order to take that benefit. By the way, that's almost 250,000 retailers across America. That very soon we will be finalizing that rule that will mandate all 250,000 retailers in America double the type of staple foods that they provide for America's SNAP households. This means healthier options will be in reach for all American families, regardless of circumstance, at levels never seen before in our country. These dietary guidelines are foundational to so many USDA programs, and their introduction marks the first step in connecting America's schools and dinner plates to the best of American agriculture. Make no mistake, under President Trump's leadership, we are restoring common sense, we are restoring scientific integrity, and we are restoring accountability to federal food and health policy. The new guidelines are all about putting the well-being of Americans first, exactly where it should have been all along. This is the foundation that will make America healthy again, not just for those of us alive today, but for our children and our children's children and those coming behind. I want to end by saying God bless American families, God bless the American farmer and rancher, and God bless America. What an honor now to introduce another great partner in this incredible work, and that is Dr. Mehmet Oz.
Oh, we're getting Dr. Oz now. Dude, I don't have cable. Why am I hearing Dr. Oz? I thought it got rid of cable. All right. Well, a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I know, too. Mr. Nick, bro. Nick, he loves the fucking yacht, bro. Which is not great. I mean, great for you. For your late market, right? How long? This is so over. It's the most over there ever is going to be. Look at that. But for the yeses on Karoline, it's not great. I hope she says New York, man. I'm thinking it's going to happen.
For us to buy these weight loss drugs, but buy these expensive drugs for autoimmune problems. We have evidence that food is medicine when it comes to conditions as varied as mental health issues from Alzheimer's and depression to fundamental realities of how children learn in school. So the question then becomes, what is this actually going to do in dollars and cents? And I had the group at CMS run some numbers for us to try to give you concrete assessments of how much this will drop the spend that the federal taxpayer must make for Medicare and Medicaid. And I'm more optimistic today than ever that we can address the fast rising rate of healthcare expenses in America because of movements like this. Right now, we're increasing health expenditures in America at roughly twice the rate of the GDP growth. We will correct that if we can get a
fucking miss for me. When was it announced that he was at maybe like now? Maybe, I mean, it was still at 60 cents even when they announced it was going to be with Dr. Oz and RFK. That's pretty sad. Oil is at 91. Are we dead ass? Come on. Pushed it up. Stop the farm. To PC trade again? I agree, Nick. I was on my phone December 31st. I was on my phone with no power trying to hit my 10,000 goal, trading on the app college basketball. Yeah, it was not the cleanest UI, I will say, and it might have been my fault for trading sports on my app. A couple days before my deadline, I was just trying to get over the hoop, but get over that last heave. It was like $1,000 I had to make on within 12 hours. I might have lost it all. So actually what happened December 31st is, it was like $9,000 of profit. My power completely went out in my entire neighborhood. I could only trade on the app with like 10% battery on my phone. I started trading college basketball, lost, was losing money. I was trying to swing trade it on the app without even watching the game. It was awful. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I LARPed $1,000 into Miami losing to Ohio State. And then Ohio State beat Miami. Oh no, Miami beat Ohio State, which is good. Good for me. I am a Miami fan. So it was good for me and my family. We all enjoyed Miami beating Ohio State. But I did hedge emotionally my sadness on my Kalshi account with my happiness of Miami winning. So I think like the actual December 31st, I ended at like $7,500 because I lost $2,000 like trading on the app that Miami would lose. So we made it back though. We made it back like 2K-ish in the last week. Through just mentions.
Percent to 70%.
Never trading sports
of
again
kids
though. I'm never trading sports.
Eating their calories from
that.
ultra-processed foods. That's an epidemic. We now have a
You think I spoke
generation
too quick?
of
That was
kids
pretty long,
addicted
bro.
to refined carbohydrates, low in protein.
I'm not sure.
They are literally nitrogen negative because we've used
Nitrogen
old flawed
negative?
studies that used
Bro's
urine
coming in with
nitrogen
the
to
fucking
estimate
facts.
body protein metabolism, and they missed the mark.
Alright.
The old guidelines
Alright,
had such
Professor.
a low protein recommendation.
Urine nitrogen.
That
We're
we are-
getting into urine nitrogen now. This is my type of science. What are we talking about?
Withering away. These new protein guidelines are designed for American kids to thrive, and they're based on science, not on
Bro,
dogma.
it's tanking. Stuff is
We
kind of
have
tanking.
40% of our kids now with a chronic disease. It is not their fault. This is something that
Where's
is
fraud?
the result of bad advice
77 cents
from the
for fraud?
government and a
Let's
medical
let's go under
establishment
this.
that for decades peddled research from a flawed 1960s
Let's
model.
do this.
Today we
We'll
are
go
setting the
under
record straight.
This.
This is not a willpower
wall.
problem of our nation's kids. This is something adults have done to kids, and we're going to fix it. And so, as Dr. Oz said, the best way to
National
lower drug
security for
prices
Greenland?
is for people to stop taking drugs they don't
Is
need.
Greenland tied to
We
national
are going
security?
to finally address the root causes of our
'Cause that's
broken
crazy
healthcare
that it's
system.
correlated
Insulin
like that.
resistance
Surely
and
Greenland
general
should be
body
way higher than
inflammation
national security.
advanced by
Unless
the
there's a way for her to talk about
protein-poor
Greenland
micro-
without saying Greenland. I don't think there is though. I think even if she gets asked a question like directly about Greenland, she has to say Greenland in her answer. So national security? That feels so high.
Deputy Commissioner for Food at the FDA the agency has ever had. This is a historic day in America. Thank you, Caroline.
Doctor. Thank you so much.
All right, back to Karoline.
Thank
Finally.
you. I hope everyone's inspired to go eat a salad for lunch after this briefing. If anybody has
All right.
questions on this topic, we will take a few and then we'll get into the topic. We'll start with our new media seat. If you have a
We're
question
going
on
to
the topic
talk about the health first, but watch them just
Jamie
straight
Franklin
ask
should
about
come to
Venezuela
the
anyways.
Conservator. Why don't you kick us off?
They're like, this shit,
First
come
of
on.
all, Caroline, congratulations on your pregnancy. We're so excited for you.
Chill.
Matt had moms
Okay, that's it. That's all
across
we
the
need.
country, including myself, are just so excited by what this administration is doing to make our kids healthy again. But, you know, we do have concerns when it comes to these blue states pushing back on a lot of progress that we're making as an administration. And particularly, we're really excited that you guys revised and streamlined this vaccine schedule. However, what we have seen is that these blue states whether it be, you know, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, or pushing
Dude,
back on
is
immigration.
Trump asking the
they continue
question?
to stop your guys' progress. So
He's
what has
hitting
been
all-
the
she's
response
hitting all
from
the
these
strikes,
states?
too.
Because as Maha moms enrolling our kids in school, this is a big issue, and we celebrate what you guys are doing, but we want to have it, you know, even in the blue states as well.
The Learing Centers? Oh. She's let RFK answer.
My hope is that we only released these earlier, 2 days earlier. I'm sorry.
Duck is also high in protein.
It's an interesting.
Duck is a good thing to eat.
We only
Dude.
released that.
RFK's phone going off in the middle of a White House press briefing. This is our administration, all right.
Everybody, I've always promised I'm not going to take people's vaccines away from them.
Just the
People who want to get vaccines, everybody who wants them.
What is that,
get
Caroline's
all the
baby in her
vaccines that are
stomach?
on
Come
the
on.
old schedule. They will all be paid for by the Vaccines for Children program or for the insurance the same as before. We release guidelines that we think are optimal to public health. They're the same with core vaccines that are required by the European community. And those nations all have much better health outcomes than we do. And they're based on their best science and also on their conviction that when you put too many vaccines on the program, it actually reduces compliance. It reduces uptake. And so we want to maximize the uptake of vaccines by making sure that Americans know we are making recommendations that are science-based, that are common sense, that are grounded in science. And right now,
Start
that's
market.
the best science that we have.
It's quite
And-
low now.
But again, there's 3 categories of vaccine.
People
One
think
is
it's
the
a-
core
there's
schedule,
a main
which
strike,
resembles the
intro strike.
European countries. The second
it's
is
still
for
hitting
people
Q&A.
who
Still can.
have vulnerabilities for high risk, and that doesn't change at all. And then the third is shared decision making, which any vaccine that was on the old schedule you can continue to get. So people will
Dude,
make
if
their
someone
own
asks,
choices, and that's
is
what
your
democracy
pregnancy
is
going to
about.
affect your job? That'll be so annoying.
I asked the boss, Caroline, for permission to add a little bit to this because I think it's really important. And by the way, Jamie, what a superstar you are. It's so fun to see you in this seat, Jamie Franklin. The blue state question is a really important one. And for those of us that are running agencies with these programs, I mean, I've talked to a lot of you already about how we have 22 blue states that won't give us their SNAP data so that we can figure out and ensure that those who really need these programs are actually getting these programs. Clearly, you all have been writing about Minnesota. California is
thinking
next.
this
We're
is
looking
gonna
at New
hit
York, some other states.
In a Maduro question for sure, right? New York. New York's got to hit in the Maduro question. I know it's a little later though, but we'll see. We'll see the exact question she gets on Maduro, but if it's a question about any type of capture, settlement, I mean, they brought him to New York, so there's a whole controversy whether Mamdani didn't allow it, but it doesn't matter because the mayor doesn't have the power to say no anyways.
on SNAP so that we can figure out where the fraud
But
is.
she could just
and ensure
reference that Maduro went to New York.
they
you know?
need to go.
I hope so.
So my request of these blue states and these blue state governors
Man, I should've
is
got
partner with
healthcare,
us.
man.
Let us figure out how
It's
to
okay.
do this better. Let us make sure that whether it's the vaccine schedule or the SNAP program or the Medicaid program or the child care program, that we are doing everything we can to protect every tax dollar, but to also ensure those who need it the most vulnerable in our society, are getting the programs they need versus those who A, are not even supposed to be here, or B, are cheating the system.
Illegal aliens. Oh, there we go. Not supposed to be here.
Thanks, Caroline. One of the changes that was made had to do with alcohol. Secretary Kennedy or Dr. Oz, could you explain the science behind the new
bro, stop
language
asking
on
Oz
not
these
saying
questions
2 drinks for men and
like
1
we
drink for
care.
a woman every day would be healthy, and whether or not the industry had an impact on the language of moderation versus just saying alcohol is not healthy and you shouldn't drink it?
Dude, it's going over.
Alcohol
It's going long.
is a social lubricant that brings people together. In the best case scenario, I don't think you should drink alcohol, but it does allow people an excuse to bond and socialize.
Bond?
And there's probably nothing
Bond,
better than
bond,
having a
bond,
good time with
bond.
friends in a safe
Okay.
way. If you look at the blue zones, for example, around the world where people live the longest, alcohol is sometimes part of their diet. Again, small amounts taken
Dude,
very
what are we taught? Are we
judiciously
saying
and usually in a
drink
celebratory
alcohol?
fashion. So there is alcohol on these dietary
Hey,
guidelines.
man,
but
I
the
didn't want to do
implications
it,
don't
but
have it for breakfast.
it's NHA,
This
so
should be something
fuck it.
done in a small amount with hopefully some
It's healthy
kind of
for
an
you.
event that
Alcohol is healthy
might
for
have
you.
alcohol added. But the general move away
I
from
didn't wanna
2
drink in
glasses
the
of men,
morning,
1
but
glass
Dr.
of women.
Oz
There was
told me
never really
to,
good
so.
data to support that quantity of alcohol
I'm
consumption.
day drinking because it's
that
healthy.
data was probably primarily confused with broader data about social
This
connectedness.
is Celsius.
Take a couple more. John?
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Secretary Rollins, I'm curious about with these guidelines. They're not mandates, they're guidelines. What are the practical
Bro,
effects of
really? We're still gonna ask these randos questions? Okay, respectfully. We all know we're not here for you, lady. We're here for the other lady. Come on. Bring out Caro, my queen, my pregnant queen.
Our prison system, that now we begin the process of implementing and redrafting the rules to reflect what this new dietary guidelines for Americans actually is doing to our food system. So there is a lot of work to do.
Walls.
Nothing changes overnight.
The walls are
but
coming
as
down.
I think we've proven, this administration moves very,
The
very
walls are
quickly on
falling.
all
Look at
fronts,
that.
7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so you'll begin to see some real changes coming very soon. As everyone is aware, for many of our most vulnerable in the margins in our communities, the school lunch is often the best place for our children to get the healthiest meal. Hopefully with stocking standards and
We'll do
reworking
this.
SNAP and the SNAP waivers we've done, that begins to change too.
I would like
but,
gas.
But right now, that is going to be the single
Oil,
most
gas,
important from
gasoline
my
companies are
perspective
gonna get said,
move forward is
for
the
sure.
school lunches and making sure that we're getting the
1,000,000%.
right amount, the best amount and most nutrient-dense foods into the schools. Thank
You
you.
also mentioned Secretary Rollins' cost when you had your remarks a little bit earlier. Is eating healthier more cost effective? Is it cheaper than just having a diet of processed foods?
I had a whole chart to show you, but left it in the back, unfortunately.
Ah!
That yes, indeed.
Don't you hate
that
it when you're
eating
doing
healthy-
a White House press briefing and you forget your chart? It's not like it's a White House press briefing or anything. You know, the official government, whatever.
have a H-E-B or a Kroger or a Central Market. These are all Texan
I forgot the
grocery
chart.
stores.
You
but
guys just
whatever
believe me.
similar across
Source?
the country.
I made
But
it
that
up.
is why these stocking standards in SNAP are so important. So if you have a economically challenged family, and the only place they're getting
No
their
matter
food
being
is the 7-Eleven.
economically
We have a
challenged
longer
person,
term
if
important
you don't like
policy plan
Karoline
of
talk.
getting grocery stores into these lower margin communities. But for now, requiring those retailers, those 250,000 retailers across America, to double their stocking of healthier foods. That will allow us to immediately get these better foods into all communities, but especially the most vulnerable. Thank you, John.
Let me just add something to that.
Oh my
Unfortunately, our
God,
work
he's
in
adding to what she added to what
affordability
he's
is
adding.
the
Why are we all
priority.
adding? Caroline, what do you want to add?
We know we have to make it easy.
Caroline,
and
don't you want to add
accessible
about
for
the gas companies? as
healthy
well?
foods for every American? And we believe we can do that. We think affordable food is within reach
I
of
think,
every American family.
Now might be the time to buy yeses if you ever wanted to buy yes. Because after this, surely we get Caroline now. Maybe Dr. Oz adds something, but... I mean, I could have got this cheaper then, but it's okay. Oil, gas? Like, that's the most lock I've ever heard. She's going to say oil companies, gasoline companies. She has to. Unless she's going to say, I'm not taking questions on Venezuela. I mean, I just don't see how that doesn't hit.
Caroline. Secretary Kennedy, you mentioned healthy fats, but also ending the war on saturated fats. Can you clarify how much saturated fats Americans should be consuming?
I'm going to let Marty take that since he wrote a book about it.
Look, the old dogma in the 1960s when Eisenhower had his heart attack and Ansel Keys said it was the saturated fat. That's never been substantiated. And so that flawed research has become dogma over the...
Alright, it's getting long. How long has she just let these people go? Oh my God, it's been 20 minutes? 25, 27, 27 minutes. And we haven't even got Karoline yet. What the actual fuck, guys? I would still like this oil gasoline, though. But to not get Karoline yet is kind of fucking crazy. This is insane.
These are the issues that have become giant blind spots where we're now putting attention. And we hope that there are conversations in every school board in America, in every church and synagogue and house of worship, every home in America will now have conversations. We've got to talk about school lunch programs, not just putting 6-year-olds on Ozempic. Food can be curative. We've got to talk about the microbiome and fiber and healthy whole grains and the good soil that food comes from.
Trump hit
healthy,
Ozempic
clean
yesterday.
water.
That was kind of crazy. One is that it's listed as fat. Oh, here we go.
Why Dr. Carson is here. He is our national nutrition advisor working alongside
Finally,
Secretary
Karoline.
Kennedy, and he's played a big role in this effort. So I want to thank you so much.
Okay, let's get into the real shit now. Come
And
on.
thank all of you for being here today. I know you're all very busy people, and these people have a lot of questions on things other than diet, I'm sure. So
True.
I'm going to get to work. And
True.
Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you. Caroline all knows why we're here. She knows why we're here.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Alrighty.
See you bozos later.
Great. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. Someone's got
Rachel,
some
why don't you
questions.
start?
Come on.
Thank
go
you,
on.
Caroline. The president has been adamant that he is now in charge of Venezuela, but Delcy
Yes.
Rodriguez said the government of Venezuela runs her country, no one else, saying, quote, there's no external agent governing Venezuela. So which one is it?
Let me just be very clear. This is the first time that I've addressed
We got the real
Venezuela
shit now,
from the
Diego.
podium since being back and since the historic and incredibly successful military operation, law enforcement
In Venezuela?
operation conducted by our United States military that you all saw and the world witnessed last week. The skill, the might of the United States military and our country under the leadership of this president is on full display to the rest of the world. And let's just set the record straight. There isn't another military in the world who could have pulled off this operation. There is not another president in the world or in our
Biden?
nation's history who had the courage
Biden? Do
to
you think Biden could have done
authorize
this?
such a mission. And I think the world has taken notice that America is truly back. With respect to Venezuela, the Trump administration, led by Secretary Rubio, the vice president, and the president's entire national security team, is in close
National
correspondence
security
with the
team.
interim authorities in Venezuela.
There we go.
We obviously
There's
have
national security.
maximum leverage over the interim
That's how it
authorities
would
in
hit,
Venezuela
except
right
for
now,
Greenland.
And the
Okay.
president has made it very clear.
I was like,
that
how
this
does
is
it
a
hit, but
country
not
within
Greenland?
the
There you
United
go.
States, the Western Hemisphere, close by the United States, that is no longer going to be sending
National
illegal
security
drugs to
team
the United
is
States of
interesting.
America.
Okay.
It's no longer going to be sending and trafficking illegal people and criminal cartels to kill American citizens as they have in the past. And the president is fully deploying his peace through strength foreign policy agenda. So we're continuing to be in close coordination with
Peace
the interim
through
authorities, and their decisions are going to continue to be dictated by the United States of America.
Just one follow-up, when you talk about that leverage there, has the Venezuelan government fully committed to turning over its oil to the United States
Oil.
indefinitely?
Right.
And what happens if they do not?
Well, as you saw, the president announced last night, this was a deal. This was a deal made
For
by
what?
the president and his team with
what?
the Venezuelan interim authorities.
For what?
This will benefit both the American people and the Venezuelan people.
For what?
And Secretary Wright and the Department of Energy are working with the interim authorities
For what?
and also with the private oil industry to execute
Yes.
on this historic
Oil.
energy deal. That's not only good for the
Okay.
United States, but it's also going to revive the prosperity.
Thought she was gonna dodge it
and
there for a
security
second. She
of
just
both
wasn't
the
gonna
United
say it.
States and Venezuela as well.
Yeah, oil was a fucking lock,
Oil
baby.
part of this, the 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. How exactly is that going to work? You're getting it out of Venezuela into the United States?
Yes,
And then what?
that's exactly right. So as you know, Ed, as the president announced last night, this was the sanctioned oil that was basically just sitting in barrels, sitting on ships because of the effective quarantine of the United States of America. And the interim authorities have agreed to release that oil to the United States, so it will be arriving here at home very soon. The United States government has already begun marketing Venezuelan crude oil in the global
Marketing.
marketplace for the benefit of the United States, engage the world's leading commodity marketers, key banks to execute and provide financial support for these crude oil and crude product sales. All proceeds from the sale of Venezuelan crude oil and products will first settle in U.S.-controlled accounts at globally recognized banks to guarantee the legitimacy and integrity of the ultimate distribution of proceeds, and those funds will be dispersed for the benefit of the American people and the Venezuelan people at the discretion of the United States government.
It sounds like it requires a lot of private sector engagement and agreement
And
from the oil industry and the banking industry.
That's
Do you
right.
have that yet?
There's a lot of private sector engagement that's happening right now. As you know, Secretary Wright, our energy secretary,
New
who's
York
heading
here.
up this big project,
That would be
is
sick.
in Florida today, meeting with some of these oil executives. And as we
Wrong
confirmed
state.
earlier, they will also be
That
at
was
the White
Florida,
House later
not
this
New
week.
York.
So they are absolutely eager to invest. They're eager about these opportunities. And Secretary Wright is a very well knowledgeable guy when it comes to oil and energy, and he's the perfect man for the job.
Another corner of the world
Sure.
there, real quick on
Go ahead.
Iran.
Go ahead.
So just to follow up on the oil, 30 to 50 million barrels is an initial tranche, if you will, and then what happens after that? What
I won't get ahead of the plans that the president and his team are currently speaking with the interim authorities about, but rest assured, there is a long-term plan here. Secretary Rubio and the entire team are working diligently on it, and this is just sort of the first action that you all are seeing.
There we go. She hit her oil.
So in order to get these oil companies to invest billions in Venezuela,
Billions?
how will the U.S. reassure
What about
that their
trillions?
workers will be safe in Venezuela? Could there be troops involved?
At this point in
Troops
time,
on the
as you know,
ground.
there are no troops on the ground in Venezuela. The president, of course, reserves the right to use the United States military if necessary. It's not something he
National
wants
Guard?
to do. Diplomacy
It's
is
not a
always the first
strike.
option. As you saw, he tried that with Nicolas Maduro, but unfortunately,
Maduro.
he was an illegitimate dictator and an unserious person. And so President
Unserious
Trump
person.
authorized this
Maduro
law
was
enforcement
unserious,
operation,
bro.
and now Nicolas Maduro is sitting in a prison cell in New York. So the American people, and that includes workers from our energy and oil industry as well.
With that meeting tomorrow.
I love you, Maduro! Okay, okay, that's not what I mean! Okay, that's not what I mean! You know what I mean! Okay, I know, okay. New York! New York, New York. Start spreading the
Absence
news.
on Venezuela.
I'm
So the headline
leaving
asked, was the
today.
Vice President's exclusion from the
Let's
operation
go.
in Venezuela an expression of his anti-interventionist ideology or political calculation? Would you be able to discuss
New York hit, that was our big one. Alright.
I did.
Cause Maduro was held in New York. Let's fucking go.
Because it's very clear it's a fake report that's trying.
Fake report? Are we on the fake news now? We're gonna get Karoline Weekly?
Team. Let me just be very
Caroline
clear.
Weekly
The
hit?
Vice President has been involved in all policy. He is the right-hand man of the president on all policy matters, including Venezuela policy. He was, of course, read in and deeply involved in this operation from the very beginning. And he was present on the night of the operation via secure communication at a different location as to not damage the operational secrecy of this mission that was so incredibly important to ensure that this mission could be carried out successfully without endangering our troops.
Okay.
Sure.
The U.S. seized a tanker recently.
Bro, another tanker
Russia
question. You guys think we're going to get
specifically
Minnesota
asked the United
questions
States
at all?
not to seize that tanker.
Has to be,
Does
right?
this
Isn't
actually
it fraud
risk
yet,
a
is what I'm
larger
thinking.
conflict with Russia?
I believe you're referring to the Bella 1 tanker that was seized this morning.
I think it
The
might just go
Department of
late. This might
Justice
go
and the
over and
Department
she
of
might just
Homeland
get more and more
Security, in
questions.
coordination
Are
with
we
the
going to get
Department of War,
Minnesota?
Did announce that seizure this morning.
Are we
for
gonna get Tim
violation of
Walz?
U.S. sanctions. I've spoken about the.
Are we gonna get Greenland?
The enforcement of our
Question?
sanctions
That's
policy
crazy.
at the podium prior to the new year, and this administration is going to fully enforce the sanction policy of the United States. The vessel this morning was seized in the North Atlantic pursuant to a warrant issued by a U.S. federal court after being tracked. And this was a Venezuelan shadow fleet vessel that has transported sanctioned oil. And the United States of America, under this president, is not going to tolerate that. I would
Nice.
also just add the vessel had a judicial seizure order
Okay.
in the crew. So that means the crew is now subject to prosecution for any applicable violation of federal law.
Yep.
And they will be brought to the United States for such prosecution if necessary. Kelly,
Caroline, Happy New Year to you.
thank you. You
I'd
too.
like to talk to you about a couple of things real quickly. The first question about the Venezuelan people. As you know, there's some 8 million Venezuelans here, some of them celebrating in the streets. There are Venezuelans on the ground
Okay.
who are concerned about their safety.
How is this gonna get
When
there?
does the Trump administration what is it doing to actually help people in Venezuela understand that they will be secure throughout this transition?
I think the fact that this
Border?
president actually followed
Maybe
through on
border.
the long-held
Secure.
promise of the United States of America, the bipartisan promise to take down the illegitimate Maduro regime, should give assurance to the Venezuelan people and also Venezuelan Americans who fled this communist regime for a better
There's
life here at home,
communists.
that
That
this is
wasn't
a
a strike,
president
though. I
who is
looked at it.
serious about taking down illegitimate regimes and who is also serious about securing the security of the United States of America, including the Venezuelan American people. And I would just add that this is something that not just Republicans and President Trump have talked about for a very long time, but it is also something that Democrats have advocated for. In 2020, Chuck Schumer said that,
Is Biden gonna
that
hit?
at the time, President Trump had not brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more
Biden
entrenched
wanted to
today than it
topple
was
the
when the
Maduro
president
regime?
began. Now you hear Chuck Schumer out there saying this is reckless. The American people and the Venezuelan people should be in fear. But this is something that Chuck Schumer has long advocated for. Senator Chris Van Hollen, same
Biden
thing,
still is
had
insane.
said that the United States is going to use its leverage and influence to push for negotiations
Hit
to
a Biden,
transition
come
to
on.
the truly
Come on,
elected
Carol.
leader. This was under President Biden. We know Maduro and his
Yeah.
cronies don't want to go quietly into the night. The
we
U.S.
knew it was
needs to
coming.
work to ratchet up the pressure. Now, Senator Holland says
knew
it's
that
an
Biden
illegal
was
act
coming.
of war to get rid of Nicolas Maduro. So the hypocrisy is really astounding here, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to point it out, Kayla.
Opportunity to
Go ahead.
point it out. It's crazy.
Yes.
So there are reports that the administration is demanding that Venezuela cut ties with
Another
China,
Venezuela
Russia,
question.
and Cuba. Can you confirm?
I'm sorry?
Reports that the administration has essentially demanded that Venezuela cut ties with China, Russia,
China,
and
China,
Cuba.
Russia.
Can you confirm that?
Well, those alleged demands were made in a classified briefing by Secretary Rubio, and I
about
know
Russia.
that there's a lot of leaks coming out of these classified briefings, so I'm not going to confirm or deny or get into what the Secretary has said in classified settings to members of Congress.
not gonna get into it?
But I think that the
Damn it.
administration has made it quite clear to the interim authorities in Venezuela that this is the Western Hemisphere, and American dominance is going to continue under this president.
Well, GG's. GG's my $10
There
bucks.
have also been reports that the U.S. could potentially buy Greenland as
Greenland.
one potential option on the table. What would such an offer look like? Is there anything monetarily you could provide? Any details there?
Well, that's something that's currently being actively discussed by the president and his national security team. And I would point out that the acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that
There you
presidents
go.
dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security.
She's
The
spamming
president
national
has
security.
been very open and clear with all of
Look
you
at that.
and with the world
Let's
that he
go.
views it in the best interest of the United States to deter Russian and
Russian?
Chinese aggression in the Arctic region. And so that's why
Russian
his team
doesn't
is currently
count.
talking about what a potential purchase would
Who
look
bought
like.
that? Who mogged it? Someone mogged it to 95 cents. I missed it.
Why not rule out taking it by
Who
military
bought
force?
Russian? Oh
I know
my
that
gosh.
past presidents and
Someone
past
just
leaders
mogged
have
it to
often
95
ruled
cents.
Things out. They've often
On a
been
grammatical
very,
inflection that
open
doesn't
about
count.
ruling things in and basically
She said
broadcasting
Russian.
their foreign policy strategy to the rest of the world, not just to our allies, but most egregiously to our adversaries. That's not something this president does. All options are always on the table for President Trump as he examines what's in the best interest of the United States.
Wow.
But I will just say that the president's first option always has been diplomacy. Again, look at Venezuela. He tried ardently to strike a good deal with Nicolas Maduro, and he told him, I will use the United States military and you will not like it if you don't take such a deal. And look at what happened. With respect to Iran, the president said the
there's
same
Iran.
thing, right? He tried
You get China?
to have serious interest in a deal with the Iranian regime with respect to their nuclear capabilities.
Nuclear.
They were not interested, and so Operation Midnight Hammer happened, which was another remarkable military success under the leadership of this commander-in-chief. So the
Hammer.
president keeps his options open, but diplomacy is always the first.
Quickly, just one additional follow-up on that. Does the president recognize Denmark's ownership as part of the kingdom? Because there have been some Republican senators questioning, the claim that Denmark has
Caroline
to
looking
Greenland.
good right
Is
there.
the
I
president
can't
in
even
that
lie.
camp with them, questioning the legality of
Russia
I
doesn't
have not
count.
heard him question
That's
it
a bit
personally,
crazy
but
one.
you're welcome to ask him yourself next time you have the chance.
She doesn't know.
Lifted for Venezuela. We got to lift some sanctions to let
Completely
the oil come
dodged the
in.
question.
Can you talk about that just very briefly?
Yes, so the U.S. is selectively rolling back sanctions to enable the transport and the sale of Venezuelan crude and oil products to the global markets, yes.
There's oil.
Annie.
Thank you. There are some reports from Venezuela that the country's leaders are cracking down on the population, specifically suppressing public expression of support for Maduro's ouster. Is that kind of behavior consistent with what the president wants to see?
I'll try to get
how the
some
president wants to see
Russia.
the leaders to take on the population?
It would not be consistent, and I'll let the president's national security team speak further on that. I know they are well aware and tracking. Kelly.
Two questions.
Buying
One, on
no
the CS
live,
vessels,
though,
the Bella, the
is a
Sophia,
bit
can
scary,
you tell us where
'cause you
they're
can get
headed,
sniped,
what
but-
happens to any existing cargo, and you reference personnel but potentially facing prosecution. That's one thing I'd like to
Yes.
follow on. And
On the Bella.
On the
We can
yes,
get
okay.
fraud.
And on Annie's question, if I could also ask, does the administration believe that the interim regime should release all political dissidents and prisoners and return detained Americans?
That's not a
Terrorists?
question that I've personally spoken about to the president with, so I
You
will
a
let him
terrorist here?
answer that question. I don't want to make new policy at this podium today with respect to Venezuela. With respect
No
to
new
the two
policy
ships
today.
that you mentioned, I spoke with you about the Bella 1. There was another vessel this morning, the Sophia, that in coordination with the Department of War, the Department of Homeland Security apprehended it. This is a stateless, sanctioned, dark fleet motor tanker, and this occurred without incident. This vessel was operating in international waters and conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. The U.S. Coast
Okay.
Guard is escorting the Sophia to the United States for final
She doesn't have
disposition.
borders,
To
but it's
answer
the
your
same.
question, Kelly, directly, this was through Operation Southern Spear. The Department of War is unwavering in its mission to crush illicit activity in the Western Hemisphere. And as the President has
43
repeatedly
minutes we've
stated,
got. It's
we're
gone
going to
over
defend our
45
homeland
and
and
above.
restore
Wow.
security and strength across the Americas. Dasha.
She's still going
Thank
too.
you and happy New
Come on,
Year.
Kara, keep
Two
going.
questions, one on Venezuela, one on Greenland. You've repeatedly at the podium called the current leadership in Venezuela interim leadership. There are Republicans and Democrats alike that say they want to see elections in Venezuela. The president has said it's too soon to do that right now.
Fraud?
But is there a
It's a
timeline
bit
for
low,
elections
is
in
it not?
Venezuela? Is he committed to seeing that this year, for example?
You just said the president has answered that question, so I will reiterate what the president has said a few times now to all of you, which is that it's too premature and too early to dictate a timetable for elections in Venezuela right now.
All right.
Karoline, you just talked to Jackie about diplomacy first, right? The Danes have repeatedly said they are willing to collaborate on all of the concerns that the president has, whether it's more troops, mineral rights, intelligence sharing. Why does the president feel he needs to own Greenland and not and put out the threat of military action when this could be done through diplomacy?
Well, who said diplomacy isn't taking place behind the scenes, Dasha? I mean, the president is interested in diplomacy. His national security team
She's
is
like,
as well.
oh, I swear
and of course,
it is.
he's
I
always
swear it's
willing to pick up the
diplomatic.
phone for everybody and hear out their concerns.
just
but the
behind the
president
scenes.
is the president of the United States of
In
America.
public,
He's
we
always going
make-
to be very
we
clear,
make threats.
about what he views as
In
being
private,
in our
we
nation's
talk.
best interest. Reagan.
Caroline,
All right,
I
say
have a
stock
question
market.
for you on Venezuela, and then I'd love to ask you about Minnesota and Tim Walz.
Sure. Minnesota.
But Venezuela, I'm wondering,
Walz
does the administration
question.
hope to start sending more Venezuelan migrants back home, or have them self-deport
Let's get
if
fraud.
the situation in the
How about
country
fraud there?
As far as I'm concerned, the policies of the Trump administration and the Department of Homeland Security have not changed. All those illegally present in the country are subject to deportation. And I would just like to add, how we got here. The president was very clear on the campaign to the American public, and it's one of the many reasons they resoundingly reelected him back to this office, that he was not only going to crush foreign drug cartels,
Okay.
but that he was not going to stand by and watch as the illegitimate Venezuelan regime was sending illegal
Walls bid.
criminals
Look at that.
and gang
Look at that
members
bid.
and rapists and murderers to our country, which happened to the
That
tune
bid
of
is
thousands
insane.
under the
Who's
previous
done that?
administration and presidents.
Who has done
so there
this?
could be nothing more America first than this operation
America
that took place
first.
last week.
Look at that.
And I would just remind all of you in this room that there were innocent Americans like Jocelyn Nungare who lost their lives at the hands of dangerous Venezuelan criminals who were sent here by the Maduro regime. And that has been the president's North Star
Dude,
and
look
guiding
at the
principle
battle on
throughout
walls.
his entire
This is
policy
insane.
since January 20th.
Tim Walz in Minnesota. Does the administration believe that Tim Walz potentially dropped out of the governor's race because he could be under criminal investigation?
Tim Walz.
I don't know if there's a criminal investigation. If there was, I wouldn't be able to comment on it from up here, to be honest with you. But I think Tim Walz probably dropped out of the race because he realizes he no longer has the support of the people of his own state, which is a remarkable downfall considering he was the #2 on the Democrat Party's ticket just about a year ago. When it comes to Minnesota, the fraud that we have seen, the wide scale of fraud, is really remarkable. It's egregious. I would encourage every single journalist in this room to go to Minnesota and to cover it yourselves. As for the Trump administration, we have officials who have been on the ground almost every day. Secretary Noem was there yesterday. Secretary Bessent will be traveling there later this week to talk about the fraud and to do a roundtable on this very topic. And I would just like to leave you with an update. To date, the Department of Justice has charged 98 total defendants in several Medicaid fraud and related case programs. 64 were convicted, and 85 of the 98 charged were of Somali descent. The DOJ has also issued over 1,700 subpoenas, executed over 130 search warrants, and they have now added more attorneys to their office there to absorb the case flow. DHS is on the ground going door to door, conducting large-scale criminal and HSI investigations. They have also sent approximately 2,000 agents to Minneapolis to assist with law enforcement and immigration enforcement. As I said, Secretary Noem was on the ground yesterday. The Department of Health and Human Services has also begun requiring a justification and photo evidence for all child care related payments nationwide, and they required Minnesota to conduct a full audit of all child care centers. They also froze $185 million in funding to Minnesota. And Dr. Oz, who was just here, also notified Governor Walz they're going to begin auditing Medicaid recipients and deferring payments on claims based on waste, fraud, and abuse. The Department of Labor is also conducting a targeted review of Minnesota's unemployment program. Department of Agriculture requiring Minnesota to conduct recertification for SNAP recipients, and HUD has launched investigations into the public housing. SBA has also suspended nearly 7,000 borrowers amid suspected fraudulent activity. So, with all of that, rest assured, this is an all-hands-on-deck effort from the entire administration to get to the bottom of this and to ensure that the ripping off of taxpayers in the state of Minnesota, and it won't just be Minnesota, it'll be any state across this country where fraud has taken place, and we are protecting law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens. Phil.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to follow up on Greenland, there are treaties already on the books that give the United States access to the island. They can construct and maintain military bases there. We can house personnel on the island. The U.S. has control of landings, takeoffs, anchorages, etc.
Christmas Island?
So I'm curious if you could just spell out for the American public what specifically would the U.S. gain by taking control of Greenland that the U.S. doesn't already have access to right now?
National security.
More control over the Arctic region and ensuring that China and
Ice.
Russia and our adversaries cannot continue their aggression in this very important and strategic region. And there would be many other benefits as well that, again, the president and his national security team are currently talking about.
In Greenland? All the ice there? What about that?
A broad sort of stand-back question on foreign policy. Are you concerned about increasing tensions with Russia? Because of the tanker seizures.
Hey, look at that.
And how does the U.S. action in Venezuela impact the ongoing relationship with China and the president?
And China? U.S. both?
President Xi.
I think the president has very open, honest, and good relationships with both President Putin of Russia and also President Xi of China.
There's Russia and China.
Numerous times,
both questions.
Since coming to office about a year ago.
Asking a question that hit Russia and China is pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy, bro.
United States, he's going to enforce.
Yo, who asked that question,
best
bro?
For the United States of America, and with respect to these ships,
that wasn't my boy Iman Javers. I'll tell you that.
All dark fleet.
Iman Javers.
Oil and
you asking questions like,
to answer your question,
what does this mean for China, Russia, Iran, Israel, Nigeria, and Christmas? Caroline, what does this mean for Christmas? Yo, these questions are getting insane.
He was committed to Article 5 in NATO, and he said yes. Has his stance on NATO or his commitment to NATO changed?
These questions are getting too Too
He said
specific.
we will always be there for NATO, even if they are not there for us. And I
Ukraine?
think that answers your question directly. Yes.
No Ukraine
Just
there.
just to follow up on what Jeff was saying there, will the president commit that if any NATO members are attacked, the United States will come to it?
Again, the president addressed this directly himself this morning after seeing the coverage from all of you in this room on television, and he made it very clear we're always going to be there for NATO, even if they have not done right by the United States of America. And they have not, they have finally increased their defense spending at the request of this president, but it was only because of this president that they did that. We'll take a couple more. Michael, go.
Couple more.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Two questions,
You
if I may.
too.
One on healthcare, one on Mexico.
You
On
too?
healthcare, the president says he wants
Did
Republicans
she
to be
just say you
flexible
too?
on the Hyde Amendment in order to
Congrats
pass
on the
healthcare
baby. You too.
legislation. What is the White House's message to pro-life voters who say federal
No!
abortion goes against
Pro-life?
Well, the president did not change the administration's policy. It was President Trump who signed an executive
my
order
gosh.
protecting the Hyde Amendment. It's the Trump administration that has taken multiple
Karen.
actions on various fronts
Dodge.
to ensure that taxpayer dollars are not funding the practice of abortion. What
Dodge.
the president was saying yesterday was Republicans, and frankly Democrats too, need to show a little bit more flexibility so we can actually get something done with respect to the issue of health care. Republicans have amazing ideas. The president himself, as we spoke about earlier, has launched this Most Favored Nation drug pricing initiative, has cut good deals with Big Pharma. He wants to see Republicans and Democrats too, if they're
No, baby.
willing,
No,
codify
baby,
those
please.
executive orders into law so that these good deals can remain and these prices can continue to be lowered long after this president and this deal maker in chief is gone. Presidents talked a lot about health savings accounts and giving more money back to the healthcare consumer rather than to these giant insurance companies, and he's been very outspoken and tough on them too, and I think you'll see more and hear more from him directly on that issue. So he wants to see Congress get something done
Good dodge.
with respect to healthcare, and
Good
that was
dodge,
the
Carol.
point that he was driving home yesterday.
Great
Mexico,
dodge. Great
Caroline.
dodge.
President Trump says the drug cartels are running Mexico.
Respectable
What
dodge.
action
There
does
you
he
go,
need to see
baby.
Mexico's president
Dude's trying
play
to
shine bomb
ruin
to
my
prove
bet.
that she's
How
in
dare
control
you.
of that country, in control of those cartels, and does the White House believe she's able to do that without U.S. intervention?
Look, I think the president was speaking very candidly and frankly about the reality on the ground in Mexico. Haley.
Caroline, Happy New Year. I wanted to
Thanks,
ask
you
you
too.
about the seized tanker, the Vela. There were reports before this that
It
Russia
was
sent
Happy
submarines
New Year,
to
wasn't it?
escort it. Was there any engagement with
I-
that submarine? And then
I
was
unfairly
the
clowned her
infliction
on
of
the
Russia
U2.
used ahead of boarding?
Hey, U2's a good
Again,
band.
this
so.
was a Venezuelan shadow fleet
I'll take it.
vessel that has transported sanctioned oil. The vessel was deemed stateless after flying a false flag, and it had a judicial seizure order, and that's why the crew will be subject to prosecution. Mary.
On Colombia, the president talked over the weekend and suggested that he would be open to an operation there. Should the president
Dude, I
of
cannot hear
Colombia
this
be
question.
expecting
What she
Gulf
said.
Wars anytime soon? And then I had another one for you on California.
That would be a
California?
very unwise question
Newsom?
for me to answer, to weigh into.
Oh,
What's your next
Colombia.
question?
On California,
Delta
can
Force?
you share any more about the fraud investigation? The president said that there was one. Who's being investigated and where is it starting?
Again, this is going to be a all-hands-on-deck government-wide effort. The president has directed all agencies across the board to look at federal spending programs in not just Minnesota, but also in the state of California to identify fraud and to
California.
prosecute to the fullest extent of the
Little
law
Newscomb.
all those who have committed it. Take one more. Sure.
One more.
Karoline, yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of January 6th.
January
Democrats and
6th.
mainstream media continue to push their big lie that it was an insurrection and that police officers died that day. The reality is that 4 Trump supporters died on January 6th and 2 women were killed by January 6th police. Everybody knows Ashley Babbitt was shot in cold blood by Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd.
Don't think
but
she's
there
gonna
was
hit
another
stock
woman,
market
her
on
name
this
was
question,
Roseanne
I'll be
Boylan
honest.
from Georgia.
On an
and she was
insurrection question.
pepper-balled, gassed, and ultimately brutally beaten with a stick by January 6th police officer Lila Morris. The Biden administration and mainstream media lied and told Americans Roseanne Boylan died of a drug
Pardon?
overdose on Capitol steps.
Could
Her
pardon
family
it?
is now
I feel like
asking for an
pardon could hit.
investigation. Is the administration aware of the circumstances of her death, and will there be an investigation finally?
Well, for investigation, I will have to defer you to either the FBI or the Department of Justice.
FBI.
I'm sorry to have to do that.
There
But
we
with
go.
respect to all of the facts that you just laid out, the
Look at
White
that.
House relished the opportunity yesterday to actually create a new website to share the facts with the American public, but also all those in this room. We knew the media would be covering January 6th quite a
The
bit
fake news.
because they think it's something that the American people are still believing their lies on. They think it's something that still helps their case against this president. Obviously
radical left,
not, or
maybe?
else he wouldn't have been reelected in an overwhelming fashion in November of last year. And so I would encourage everyone to take a look at the website. It's quite well done. And thank you all very much. It's
There you
great
go.
to be back with you.
Thank you, press. All right, we're gonna bond Israel now. Oh, someone beat me to the punch. Someone beat me to the punch on all these bonds. Look at that. FBI clutch. Did you have FBI, Nick? Did you have it because of the... Because of that? Ain't no way. Ain't no way you had FBI because of what she just hit on. That was like a buzzer beater. I do say buzzer beater too because on NBA they never say it. So that is one thing. I think it was a dub, boys. How we do? How we do? How do we do? How did we do? How did we do? Let's check. A little dub. A little dub? At least a little dub. There we go. $46. Title of the event. What was it titled? Because of the Maha? All the Maha stuff? Maha. Well, we hit no baby. That was a fucking dub. No stock market. That's okay. That's a huge... I mean, that means Azul loses in the end. So that makes me a winner. I'm joking. I'm joking, Azul. I fuck with you. New York hit because of Maduro. Russia hit. We had fraud. We bought fraud when we heard the question. And gas we bought live. So that was pretty dub. I mean, not much size, I will say respectfully, but $45, $50, you never want to scoff at, man. A green number you never want to scoff at. I will take $50 on a little cheeky Karoline Maha event. I mean, a W. New York was our big play, and she hit New York, so that was a huge win for us on Maduro. FBI hit in the end. Yeah, that was a little silly. How did you do that? Let's go.
Justice, and I'm sorry to have to do that.
On the January 6th investigation, she hit FBI. I would not have thought of that one. I mean, it's January 7th. It's January 7th. But, hey, dub, boys. Dub. We take that. We take that. Welcome back. Welcome back, Queen Karoline. Oh, God, how we've missed you, Queen Karoline. How us Medja marketers have missed you, Karoline. She's one of my best mentioned people, so I'll take that. I will take that. 400 on the length. Yeah, what did it end to? 60 or above, exactly. I think 65 or above was so close. We got to... Wait.
Foods loaded with additives.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was over 60 minutes. Made it is so. Let's go, Nick. 400 on the length, 39 on the press briefing. 439 in total. Let's go. And it is so. Yeah, 60 or above was clean, dude. 9 cents to 99. She barely ever even has these like long ones. It's because all this yapping from these people at the beginning. That's huge. Dub. Big wins. Big wins. So. Alright. GG's, lads. GG's. Welcome back, Queen Carol.